Imagine for a second discovering a hidden bank account you completely forgot about, or an uncashed paycheck just waiting to be claimed. Well, there's actually a massive $2.5 billion treasure chest of forgotten cash sitting right now in a Colorado government vault. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going on a forensic treasure hunt. We're going to uncover forgotten bank accounts, lost assets, and uncashed checks right here in the Centennial State. We'll decode the legal labyrinth together and give you the exact step-by-step roadmap to reclaim what is absolutely rightfully yours.
Yeah, you heard that number right. $2.5 billion. That is the staggering amount of unclaimed property being held by the state of Colorado right this second. To put that into perspective, statistically speaking, 1 in 10 Coloradans has unclaimed property waiting for them. The state is holding these funds for nearly 17 million individuals, businesses, and organizations. So there's a very, very good chance that you, a family member, or maybe a business you used to work for is sitting on that list.
All right, let's dive into this and map out exactly how we're going to find your money. First, we'll look at the unclaimed property problem. Then, verifying your assets. Next, filing your claim successfully. After that, advanced tracking resources. And finally, how to reclaim your assets safely.
Section 1. The unclaimed property problem. How money gets left behind. Okay, let's start with phase 1 of our investigation. How exactly does personal wealth just get lost in the financial system in the first place? I mean, it sounds kind of impossible until you realize how easily the threads of our financial lives get tangled up.
It all boils down to a legal concept called escheatment. Now, escheatment might sound like some sort of penalty, but it's actually a really great consumer protection mechanism. When a bank account, an uncashed check, or maybe an insurance payout goes unclaimed for a legally defined period of time, the bank can't just keep your money. They are legally mandated to transfer it to the state. And the really crucial point here is that the state doesn't just absorb this money into its general budget to spend. Instead, Colorado acts as a perpetual trustee. They literally just hold it in a secure trust indefinitely until the rightful owner, or their heirs, step forward.
So, how do you actually lose track of an account? Well, think about your own life. Have you ever moved across the country, or honestly even just changed apartments, and forgot to update your address with every single place you do business? Maybe you got married, changed your name, and suddenly a financial tie was severed. A super common scenario is the passing of an elderly relative who had an old savings account that absolutely nobody in the family knew about. Even something as simple as an overlooked final paycheck from a summer job or utility deposit refund can end up completely lost in this system.
The actual trigger for escheatment is something called dormancy. And dormancy isn't just about having a low balance. It's a complete absence of owner-directed activity. If you aren't logging into the online portal, writing to the bank, or making withdrawals, a legally set ticking clock basically starts running. And by the way, the laws are constantly evolving to keep up with new technology. Under Colorado's newly updated Revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act, or RUPA for short, even virtual cryptocurrency accounts now have a strictly defined 3-year dormancy rule before they have to be turned over to the state.
Section 2. Verifying your assets, using the Great Colorado Payback. All right, let's shift into the action phase here. It is time for you to put on your detective hat and uncover your dormant property using Colorado's official program. It's honestly wild to see how quickly that dormancy clock runs out depending on the specific asset type. Unclaimed wages, like that final paycheck you forgot to grab, or a utility deposit, get handed over to the state after just 1 year of inactivity. Securities, stocks, and dividends take 3 years. For your standard checking accounts, IRAs, and safe deposit boxes, it typically takes 5 years of total silence before the bank transfers custody over to the Colorado Treasury.
When you are ready to start searching, this right here is your destination, unclaimedproperty.colorado.gov. This is the official, secure online portal for the Great Colorado Payback. I really want to highlight that they recently updated this to a .gov domain. That is a massive security upgrade, and it should give you total peace of mind that you are dealing directly with the official state treasury database and not some third-party site.
But listen, don't just type in your current first and last name and give up if nothing pops up. You really need to use some expert search strategies. Try all your name variations, maiden names, hyphenated names, even just common typos of your own name. Search your historical locations, plug in old zip codes from when you lived in a college dorm or military housing. Since payroll claims are incredibly common, try searching the names of former employers, especially if you work for large companies based in Denver or Colorado Springs. And lastly,
Definitely be sure to search for deceased relatives, because their pensions or life insurance proceeds might have escheated to the state too.
Section 3. Filing your claim successfully, from documentation to disbursement. Let's keep moving. Let's say you found a match in the database. Now, how do you actually pry that money out of the state's vault? We've got to navigate the bureaucratic steps to get your actual disbursement.
But wait, before you go filing anything, did you by any chance receive an unsolicited check in the mail from the Colorado Treasury? Because if you did, believe it or not, it's probably not a scam. In this amazing modernization of the whole system, the state sometimes conducts automated identity matching. If they can definitively link the property directly to you using state data, they just proactively mail you the check. Last year alone, the Great Colorado Payback automatically returned over $8 million exactly this way. If you got one of these checks, you literally don't even need to file a claim. You can just take it straight to the bank.
Now, if you didn't get an automatic check, you are going to need to manually file a claim. But don't worry, it's a pretty straightforward 3-step process. First, generate your official claim form directly on the .gov portal. Second, gather your required proof. This usually just means a government photo ID, your social security number verification, and proof that you actually lived at the address associated with the lost account, like an old utility bill or a tax return. Third, submit the documentation. You can usually just upload it via their secure online link, or if you prefer, you can physically mail it to their office at 200 East Colfax Avenue in Denver.
However, there is a very distinct difference between claim types that you need to be aware of. A standard individual claim is highly streamlined. You upload your ID, your address proof online, and it's incredibly fast. But if you're claiming property on behalf of a deceased relative, which is called an heirship claim, you face a very specific hurdle. You cannot just upload these documents online, because state auditors are dealing with legal wills, death certificates, and certified court probate orders. They actually must physically inspect the original documents. They literally need to run their fingers over the paper to feel the raised court seals. So for heirship claims, physical mail is absolutely mandatory.
There are also a few advanced claim types out there. Businesses claiming lost corporate assets have to provide their federal employer identification number and proof that the actual person filing has signing authority for the company. Securities claims for things like stocks or mutual funds require documentation of original share ownership. And get this, here is a truly fascinating detail from Colorado's new laws. Legacy pre-need funeral contracts can actually become unclaimed property. The dormancy clock for these contracts is triggered either by a confirmed date of death, or if the state doesn't know if the person has passed away yet, it triggers on their presumed 107th birthday. Crazy, right?
Section 4. Advanced Tracking Resources. Expanding your forensic search. So what happens if you've searched the Colorado database and came up totally empty, but you know for a fact you had an account? Well, it's time to use some advanced tracking resources, because sometimes the trail leads completely out of the state's jurisdiction. There are 2 really powerful external tools that can crack even the hardest cases. If you opened an account while living in another state, or maybe the bank's corporate headquarters was out of state, the asset might have us cheated over there instead. For that, you'll want to use missingmoney.com. It's a multi-state database sponsored by the National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators, and it searches across participating states simultaneously. On the other hand, what if the bank itself just vanished? If you had an account at a bank back in the 1990s that closed, merged, or got acquired, the funds might not even be at the state level yet. For this scenario, you use the FDIC Bank Find Suite to track the exact institutional history of what happened to that specific bank and where its deposits were eventually transferred.
While we're on the topic of tracking down old money, I really want to proactively teach you how to protect your current active assets from being classified as abandoned in the future. You have to actively reset that dormancy clock. Make sure you initiate a verified online account logging periodically, keep documented communication with your bank, simply cashing a check drawn on the account, or even just setting up a recurring ACH transfer or a direct deposit proves to the institution that you are present, you are active, and you are actively directing your own funds.
Section 5. Reclaim your assets safely. Final steps and crucial warnings. As we bring this guide to a close, let's look at your final steps and a couple of absolutely crucial warnings to ensure that your financial recovery is not only successful but completely safe. The rewards for taking literally 10 minutes to search this database are phenomenal. The average claim payout in Colorado is $918. That's a nice chunk of change. And the system is incredibly efficient. The average processing time for a claim is just 10 days, which is well below their statutory requirement of 90 days. Remember, these assets are held in perpetuity. There are absolutely no time limits to claim what is yours.
Just last fiscal year alone, the Great Colorado Payback shattered records by returning a historic $158 million to its rightful owners. It's really all about securing your own financial peace of mind.
But please, hear me on this absolute warning. You must protect yourself from scams. Always use official.gov channels when searching and filing. The state of Colorado acts as a free custodian. They will never, ever charge you a fee to claim your own money. So please, do not pay upfront fees to third-party finders or companies who promise they're going to get your money for a percentage. You have all the tools to do this entirely for free, directly through the state.
I want to leave you with this really powerful statement directly from the state treasury. Unclaimed property always belongs to its owner, even if it is never claimed. All unclaimed property is held in trust until the rightful owner or their heirs claim it. Just think about that for a second. Even if you've forgotten about it for decades, the state hasn't. Your money is out there, safely locked away, just waiting for you to finally step up and claim it. So, what do you say? Are you going to go search the Great Colorado Payback right now and see what you find?